Testing, testing. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. Yes.
Test.
Testing today is Tuesday, April 8th.
Thank you all for joining us. I would like to call our board meeting to order at 4 p.m. I would like to move on to item 1.1, call meeting to order, and Yvette will read the language under public content.
Thank you, Madam President. In order to help assure compliance with the Brown Act and in order to make our board meetings more effective and more efficient, trustees will speak only when recognized, and trustees who speak on a topic other than the agenda item currently under consideration will be out of order. Board meeting protocols. The safety and decorum of the school board meetings are important to Stockton Unified School District and the community. SUSD promotes the public's right to free speech, and we want to make sure that all community members, parents, and students are able to participate in a safe environment. We want to ensure all community members have a seat during the board meeting. We will have the maximum number of chairs per fire code, which is 132. We ask that members of the public do not stand along the side of walls or block the walkway. Anyone standing up during the meeting will be asked to take a seat. If they do not comply, they will be asked to leave. Any accredited news media representative who is standing will have a press credential clearly visible. There is a podium positioned in front of the first row of chairs. No one other than the person who is speaking may be at the podium except for a guardian, administrator, or translator. For safety, people may not line up behind the speaker to wait their turn. We want to give the person at the podium the time and respect they deserve. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes. Attendees are not allowed to enter the area past the podium where board members are sitting. No profanity or obscenity. During the board meeting, if there is a disruption, the board president or designee will give a verbal warning to the person or persons causing the disruption. If the disruption continues after the verbal warning, the individual will be asked to leave or be removed from the premises for the remainder of the board meeting. After the meeting is concluded, we ask community to clear the lobby area in a respectful manner. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Yvette. Moving on to item 1.2, roll call.
Thank you. President Kenitha Stevens.
Present.
Vice President Colon.
Present.
Clerk Danair.
Present.
Trustee Flores.
Present.
Trustee Perez.
Here.
Trustee Priest.
Present.
Trustee Silva.
Present.
Student Representative Michael Lynn.
Present.
Back to you, Madam President.
Item 1.2, moment of silence for Mr. Rick Batterton, SUSD electrician, by Vice President Colon.
Good evening. Mr. Rick Batterton joined the district on July 29, 2024, as an electrician for the Facilities Department. Eager to grow within the organization, he pursued the electrical shop supervisor position. Rick was not only kind, but also highly skilled in his profession, making him a valuable asset to the district. His expertise and presence will be deeply missed. Please join us in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Moving on to item 1.4, Student Board Representative Report by Michael Lynn, Stockton Early College Academy, 12th grade. Mr. Hepp cannot be with us, so Mr. Lynn will have both reports this evening.
Good afternoon. Weber just had their senior and junior prom, which went really well. And they also had a spring festival where students held fundraisers and fun activities for students, parents, family, and community members. Finally, Weber's Plus team attended the Plus Summit Showcase where they presented their projects and facilitated various stations. As for PLA, the student body just hosted an elote and snow cone fundraiser. Also, their Plus team just completed a civic engagement walkthrough and presented to classes across their campus. Health Careers Academy's HOSA Club just participated in their skills competition. For the first time ever, they brought home 2 gold medals. Additionally, their HOSA Club has chosen officers to lead the club next year. As for SECA, our ASB elections just concluded this past Thursday. We had roughly 310 votes, which is about 75% of our student body. This week, we are having a retro game-themed Spirit Week with our Spirit Rally, which will take place this Friday. And Mr. Happ was not able to provide a report because he's sick today. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Lynn. Item 1.6, student honoree, Miss Malia Orozco Morales. Oh, that was for Michael. All right, there is one other item that we have before Ms. Garoso. So, Mr. Lynn, we would like to provide you an opportunity to receive a certificate from your board representative. We're excited that you are accepted to Harvard University, making some really big strides here for students at Stockton Unified. So I'll have your board trustee come down. He has a certificate to honor you. And is your mother here with you tonight? Okay, we'll have you come up. Thank you. And did you want to speak for a moment? You sure? Okay. He said he's done enough for the evening.
Mr. Durasi, come on up. Mr. Durasi.
All right, you want to speak on behalf of your student?
I'd be more than happy to. Real quick, Michael is an exceptional young man, as many of you guys know, with him being on the board here with you every other week. But he does a great job leading our school's ASB president, and he led last week's elections, moderated the whole event, and then just a phenomenal student, and will be representing Stockton greatly at Harvard and Boston next year. Keep telling me he's a Harvard man, and so anyway, very exciting that we have somebody going to Harvard. Full ride as well, by the way.
Congratulations again, Mr. Lynn. All right, item 1.6, our student honoree, Miss Malia Orozco Morales, Stockton Alternative High School, and I'll have Mr. Tony Mogan come up as principal to represent his student.
Good afternoon, Stockton Unified Board and guests. My name is Tommy Mogan, and I'm the principal at Stockton Alternative High School. I just wanted to give an update on a couple initiatives that are happening over the past few months since last time I was here. Our reading intervention program has supported students in increasing their reading speed and comprehension levels, which in turn makes them more successful in our independent study courses. We are excited to roll out our math intervention at the end of this year for exploring and full implementation next year. Our parent pantry is in full swing, supporting our families by providing a stable and constant source of food support. Because of our success, the food bank donated a refrigerator to our site, further supporting our families with refrigerated items now. We average about 45 to 50 parents visiting each week, and in a school of only about 240 students, that is a big percentage that needs the support. Our site was recognized for PBIS rollout as a bronze implementation this year, and we've applied for silver implementation next year. Our students and staff are making great strides in creating a comfortable and welcoming culture at Stockton High. Our schedule adjustment that we rolled out this year from a 2-hour day to a 4-hour day for our students has increased our student course completion and moved students from not having a chance at graduation to planning for graduation and career planning after a high school diploma. Now, to brag about a student we're all very proud of at Stockton Alternative High School, Malia came to Stockton High this year after it didn't work out at a previous site. She struggled with engaging in behaviors that were not true to her character. Like many Stockton High students, she needed a smaller learning environment where she could focus on one class at a time, have smaller class sizes, and map out her success plan for graduation and career thereafter. This year, this flexibility supported her in being able to take the time on courses she found more difficult and speed up on classes in which she already had background knowledge. In conversations with her over this year, I've learned about some big goals Malia has for herself in the future, and I'm confident with her being so motivated and focused, she will achieve all of them. It is my pleasure to introduce Malia Morales.
Hello, my name is Malia Morales and I'm a junior at Stockton High. I previously attended STAC but felt like it wasn't the right fit for me due to the size and the distractions. Since transferring to Stockton High, I've been attending consistently and completing my classes at a steady pace. My ultimate goal is to work in the medical field as a physical therapist, and I truly believe that Stockton High is helping me take the necessary steps to achieve that dream. Even though it's a small school, Stockton High provides us with activities like college speakers, fun Fridays, and events that help us connect with one another and create a strong sense of community. I feel genuinely supported by my math teacher, Mr. Wise, my therapist, Christian, and our principal, Mr. Mogan. This school has made a world of difference in my life, and I'm truly grateful to be a part of it.
Ms. Morales, we're going to ask you and your team if you can come up, and if you have a parent or guardian with you, we have a certificate from your board trustee, Donald Denaire. Congratulations, Ms. Morales, and good luck on your journey. All right, moving on to item 1.7, oral suggestions. Abby will announce the number of public comments and request each person provide their public comment in the order they were received, and Christina will be the timekeeper.
Trustees, we do not have any comment cards for item 1.7. Thank you.
Item 1.8, public employee discipline, dismissal, and release. Do we have any to be heard today?
We do not.
Thank you. Item 1.7, the board will consider in closed session items listed in closed session by Vice President Colon.
Thank you. Good evening. 2.1, Public Employee Appointment, Certificated, Government Code Section 54957, Resignation, Retirement, Appointment. 2.2, Public Employee Appointment, Classified, Government Code Section 54957, Leave of Absence, Resignation, Retirement, Rescind Employment Offer, Appointment, Closed Positions. 2.3, Conference with Legal Counsel, Anticipated Litigation, Significant Exposure to Litigation under subsections D2 and E3 of Government Code Section 54956.9. 3 potential cases. Claim number RSK 013125, claim number 626185, and claim number 651729. Thank you.
Item 1.10, the board will now recess to closed session. All right, thank you all for rejoining with us. I would like to move on to item 3.1, reconvene to public session. Yvette will read the language under public content.
Thank you, Madam President. In order to help assure compliance with the Brown Act and in order to make our board meetings more effective and more efficient, trustees will speak only when recognized, and trustees who speak on a topic other than the agenda item currently under consideration will be out of order. The safety and decorum of the school board meetings are important to Stockton Unified School District and the community. SUSD promotes the public's right to free speech, and we want to make sure that all community members, parents, and students are able to participate in a safe environment. We want to ensure all community members have a seat during the board meeting. We will have the maximum number of chairs allowed per fire code, which is 132. We ask that members of the public do not stand along the side of walls or block the walkway. Anyone standing up during the meeting will be asked to take a seat. If they do not comply, they will be asked to leave. Any accredited news media representative who is standing will have a press credential clearly visible. There is a podium positioned in front of the first row of chairs. No one other than the person who is speaking may be at the podium except for a guardian, administrator, or translator. For safety, people may not line up behind the speaker to wait their turn. We want to give the person at the podium the time and respect they deserve. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes. Attendees are not allowed to enter the area past the podium where board members are sitting. No profanity or obscenity. During the board meeting, if there is a disruption, the board president or designee will give a verbal warning to the person or persons causing the disruption. If the disruption continues after the verbal warning, the individual will be asked to leave or be removed from the premises for the remainder of the board meeting. After the meeting is concluded, we ask community to clear the lobby area in a respectful manner. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4.1, Pledge of Allegiance led by Cesar Chavez students accepted to the UOP Conservatory of Music, Yuritsi Castro Rios and Jack Aloro.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Before you go, we do have certificates that'll be presented to you by your area trustee Vice President Colon, and then we have, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that they're here also to represent Voice Compensina from Cesar Chavez Mariachi that took second place at the 50th CABE conference just 2 weekends ago.
And if I may add, there was audience members who said you should have took first.
And you have your principal here with you as well. I'm going to ask if she can come up. Moving on to item 4.2, action taken in closed session by Vice President Cologne.
All right, good evening, everyone. Okay, item number 2.1, public employee appointment, certificated, Government Code 54957, resignation, retirement appointment. Board motion to approve, 6 with 1 no from trustee Flores. Item number 2.2, public employee appointment classified, Government Code 54957, leave of absence, resignation, retirement, recent employment offer, appointment, closed positions. Board motion to approve, 6 with 1 no from trustee Flores. Item 2.3, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation under subsections D2 and E3 of Government Code Section 54956.9. Start with board motion to reject claim number RSK 013125 unanimously. No reportable action for claim number 626185. And board motion to reject claim number 651729 unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Cologne. Item 4.3, order of agenda, and Abby will read the oral announcement.
This is the opportunity for the Board of Trustees to make any changes to the order of the agenda. Otherwise, the order of the agenda will be as published.
Is there a motion for 4.3?
I'll make the motion to approve the order of agenda.
Is there a second?
A second.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none. Oh, trustee Flores?
I just had a question on 6.45, 6.44.
That's on the consent. Do you want to wait until the consent?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the consent. Yeah, you're good. All right, any other discussion for agenda? All right, hearing none, roll call vote.
President Stevens,
Yes.
Vice President Colon,
Yes.
Clerk Denier,
Yes.
Trustee Flores,
Yes.
Trustee Perez,
Yes.
Trustee Priest,
Yes.
Trustee Silva.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 5.1, oral suggestions and comments from the community regarding open session agenda items. Abby will announce the number of public comments and request each person provide their comment in the order they were received, and Christina will be the timekeeper.
Trustees, we do not have any comment cards for item 5.1.
Item 5.2, oral suggestions and comments from the community regarding non-agenda items. Abby will announce the number of non-agenda item public comments and request each person provide their comment in the order they were received, and Christina will be the timekeeper.
We do not have any comment cards for item 5.2.
Item 6.1, approval of consent items. Abby will read the oral announcement.
Does any trustee have any item they would like removed for separate consideration as an action item? After any items are removed for separate consideration, there will be a vote on the consent items without any discussion.
Trustee Flores, you had a couple items?
Yeah, I just wanted to know why the change in the vendor?
Which item?
6.44, 6.45, and then 6.46, there's an amendment.
You want to pull in for action, or do you want to pull in for action?
We can pull it for discussion.
Okay, 6.4.
4, 6.45,
6 point.
and 6.46.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, got it. 6.44, 6.45, and 6.46. Okay. Any others? Any trustees have any others they would like to move to action? All right, hearing none, is there a motion for the agenda? I'm sorry, the consent items?
I make the motion to approve the consent calendar with the removal of items 6.44, 6.45, and 6.46
For discussion only.
for board discussion.
Okay, sounds good. All right, is there a second?
A second.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote?
President Stevens?
Yes.
Vice President Colon?
Yes.
Clerk Denier?
Yes.
Trustee Flores?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
Trustee Priest?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Moving on to item 6.44.
Good evening, President Stevens and Board and Dr. Rodriguez. The reason that we had to do a change in vendor is because the inspector quit. He sent us an email that he no longer wanted to be our inspector, so we had to replace him for the projects. And one of the reasons he quit was because we were calling him to the table on his hours for inspection, 8 hours a day for 3 different projects, when in the contract, that's not what it said. So he didn't agree with us, so he said that he would just quit. So we said, okay, so he turned in his resignation. We have an email from him. So we replaced them with A+ inspection services, and it's actually saving the district money. The 6.46, the amendment for diversified inspection services, this is for the shade cell project, and the project went longer than anticipated, so the inspector is an implant inspector in Texas, so he had to do more inspections beyond what his original contract was set for.
Are we allowed to get what those specifics are?
For which ones?
Like the update of what you just said?
For the shade cell or for the inspector resignation?
No, I get that part, the last one, the 6.46.
Yeah, it should be in your packet. Is it not in your packet? If it's not, I can definitely provide more information on that.
I don't see an attachment on mine.
Okay,
Did we get it?
No, not for 6.46, no attachment.
no attachment. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, is there a motion for 6.44?
A motion to approve?
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, discussion?
Wait a minute, wait. I can't motion because I pulled it.
Yeah. All right, is there a motion for
I'll make the motion.
6.44? All right, first by trustee Colon, is there a second?
A second.
All right, second by trustee Perez. Any further discussion? I'm sorry, Priest, second by trustee Priest. All right, hearing none, roll call vote?
President Stevens?
Yes.
Vice President Colon?
Yes.
Clerk Denier?
Yes.
Trustee Flores?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
Trustee Priest?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 6.45, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
A second.
All right, second by Priest. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote?
President Stevens?
Yes.
Vice President Colon?
Yes.
Clerk Denier?
Yes.
Trustee Flores?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
Trustee Priest?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, moving on to item 7.1, early literacy, key performance. Oh, I thought we did that one. Okay, I'm sorry. Item 6.46. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
A second.
All right. Was she bringing back a additional document or no? Okay, any other discussion? All right, hearing none, roll call vote?
President Stevens?
Yes.
Vice President Colon?
Yes.
Clerk Denier?
Yes.
Trustee Flores?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
Trustee Priest?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 7.1, presentation, early literacy key performance indicator, systematic instruction in phonological awareness, phonics and sight word SIPs, winter results and update presentation by Melissa Siggers, Director of Curriculum and Professional Development.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Stevens, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Rodriguez, our Superintendent. My name is Melissa Sigers. I'm the Director of Curriculum and Professional Development, and I am here to present to you our SIPs data highlights and growth analysis for our key performance indicator SIPs for early literacy focused on K through second. Yep. Oh, yeah. Okay, so before we get started, I want to start with our why, which is always our students. Our state and district goal is to make sure that all of our students are proficient readers by 3rd grade. So we have a video here. I'm not sure if I push play or, nope. We can have it.
Can we press play on the video?
Thank you. So you'll see one of our 2nd graders engaging in our SIPs program.
Rose was a firefighter in that job. You have to be ready all the time. When a call for help comes in, you have to move fast. One time the fire bell rang when Rose and the other firefighters were eating lunch. They had to eat their lunch. Rose was her turnouts are thick clothes with white stripes that shine in the dark. Her turnouts and dark hats help keep her safe from fire.
Thank you. I think I can turn. Okay. So let's go over the presentation objectives. I want to define SIPs and our early literacy key performance indicator or KPI. I'm going to give you a timeline of our SIPs implementation. We're going to analyze our SIPs progress data and from fall to spring to winter for our K through 2nd graders. And we're going to review SIPs implementation plan and our next steps for continuous improvement. So as you can see, SIPs is one of our KPIs focused on early literacy in English language arts. The yellow arrow indicates where that lies on our KPI. So SIPs stands for Systematic Instruction in Phonological Awareness, Phonics, and Sight Words. SIPs follows the science of reading's emphasis on explicit, systematic instruction. It provides a structured approach to teaching foundational literacy skills, ensuring that phonemic awareness, phonics, and sight word recognition are taught in a logical, sequential manner. So this helps students build a strong reading foundation. In this slide, you can see the scope and sequence of SIPs, which kind of starts with our beginning level, which is letter recognition and letter sounds, our extension, which is around spelling patterns, challenge, which is for polysyllabic, meaning blending and breaking apart words, and then plus, which is for our older readers that need intervention. On the right-hand side, you'll see Scarborough's reading rope, and it basically shows the different components or skills that students need in order to be proficient readers. You'll see that the word recognition is what's circled, and that's where SIPs focuses on those word recognition skills, right? Phonological awareness, decoding and spelling, and sight recognition. So that's what makes up the SIPS program. On this slide, you'll see the timeline of Stockton's implementation of SIPS, starting in 21-22 with our early literacy block grant schools, or ELSB schools. This is where these school sites engaged in basically data analysis and found a root cause. They did a root cause analysis to see, where their students needed more support, and it was found that the foundational reading skills are what their students needed. So they developed a site action plan, which included implementing SIPS. 22-23, it was noted that there was positive growth with the implementation of SIPS in those sites, and we had sites requesting for the program. So Stockton purchased that for all sites. In 23-24, of course, the ELSB sites continued implementing SIPS, and we began to provide initial training for sites beyond the ELSB sites. And this school year, in November, we adopted SIPS as our core foundational skills curriculum. And if we go back to that slide with the reading rope, that's the area that SIPS is implemented in. So SIPS is now implemented at all of our sites. Okay, so I'm going to go into our growth and data entry. This is very important for the implementation of SIPS. It's not just within our instruction, but it's in how we assess our students, enter their data, and monitor that data so that we're, going towards constant improvement and making sure that we're providing appropriate instruction for their needs. Okay, in this slide, you'll see a comparison between 23-24 school year and this school year. I want you to notice that the slide the diagram for 23-24, that data compares fall to spring. So we're not even in spring just yet, and we have fall to winter data for our 24-25 school year data. And as you can see, comparing last school year to this school year, we have students meeting their target growth significantly more than last school year, and we're only in winter. In addition, you'll see that there are even more students that have their assessment data or their proficiency data entered in. So that kind of demonstrates that we're having increased implementation. In this slide, we highlight our sites that are surpassing 80% of mastery assessments data entered. So we want to highlight that and celebrate them for having that type of entry, because again, it's important that our students' data is entered in. This is another graph that compares the increased entry of mastery assessment data. As you can see, just K through second, we went from 26% entered, mastery assessments entered last school year to 65%. And you can see our first and second, they've increased more than half of their data entry, of their mastery data entry. And this means that their entry was entered on time. Okay, in this slide, you can see that the feedback we're getting from teachers and our teaching staff is positive. If you note at the bottom, there's a star. It says 88% of our teachers who responded to SIPS survey see positive impact. And that's what we're seeing and hearing when we visit sites. You can see I have witnessed overwhelming joy and enthusiasm for the impact they're seeing of SIPS as far as when they're providing that instruction and seeing the feedback they're getting from the students and the responses. So I'll highlight one, which is well-designed programs that address the needs of our students. And we've been waiting 27 years for this. That's from a second grade teacher at Pittman. This school year alone, between July and just September 30th of 2024, we've had 780 total professionals participate in a SIPS training, and that was only before September 30th. And you can see the array of different initial trainings that we provided at the different levels. That was not the end of our support, as we want to continue professional learning support. So each one of our sites is receiving 3 rounds of core consultants and our ELA curriculum specialists going out to their sites providing, as you can see in the round 1, modeling lessons. In round 2, routine practice, and in round 3, lesson study. Again, that's with our core consultants paired with our ELA curriculum specialists. Our curriculum specialists, Allison and Emily, in addition to that, they are interacting with our sites, making sure that we're providing sites the support that they need that's catered and differentiated to their sites' needs. So that can come in the form of, upon their visit, they recognize a site needs more support, so they follow up with that support. It could be through outreach from their instructional support staff or their site admin. So I just want to encourage you, if you all have any teacher or teaching staff saying that they need more support, please send them to the curriculum and professional department. We have excellent ELA curriculum specialists who've been working very hard to make sure our sites are supported and that SIPS is well implemented. Okay, so for our next steps, we know that in order for SIPS to be ongoing, implemented to fidelity, we need to continue to provide that support. So that's what we plan to do. We want to make sure that we have clear, common expectations for implementation, and we want to align our professional learning so that it's differentiated to meet the different sites' needs. And that will be in their data entry, so those mastery assessments, making sure that students are reaching their learning targets and being very strategic about that. The intervention that's provided, making sure it's appropriate and timely. And expanding to to different grade levels. So expanding to our upper grade levels that need intervention. As I noted in the beginning of the slides, there are pieces of the SIPS program that support upper grades and different leveled readers. So in addition to that, not just the site supports that we provide, we want to make sure that data analysis is happening at all levels so that professional learning community, that cycle of inquiry is continuing with our implementation of SIPS. So we will continue to do that, but improved with our site administrators, making sure that they're engaging with the data, monitoring their data, and have the tools to provide supports to their site staff, with our instructional support, and with our classroom teachers, so that all levels are engaging with the data. And I want to end with our why, which is same video or picture here. So we just want to say that our students reading and making sure that they can read by third grade, and implementing sufficient instruction K through second is crucial to our students' futures and success. If you have any questions, I'd like to answer them.
Trustee Priest?
Are we able to receive data on the SIPS program in regard to our students' ethnical backgrounds?
Yes, they can disaggregate that data.
Will you be able to get us that? Okay, so coming from the classroom, we know that SIPS requires it's a lot of fidelity in order to work effectively.
Mm-hmm.
How are we supporting our teachers in the classroom who have students who may have high needs, who may not be able to focus during SIPS, as well as it does require a lot of upfront training and coaching for our teachers to be successful with SIPS. And how are we making sure that we are hitting all of our teachers who are implementing the SIPS program versus those who are just signing up for the program on day one?
Yes, so I'm going to add in something beyond SIPS, which is our science of reading training that we're providing for teachers. We are just finishing up our first cohort, which was a 2-year, it's called Letters, and that's for the science of reading. It's a very intense training for our teachers so that they get the foundation, they understand what it takes to be a good reader. We're expanding that to upper grades in a program called Aspire. It's a shorter version, but again, it teaches the science of reading principles. In this slide, I'm showing you what we did this year as far as making sure every site received those 3 rounds. Next school year, it's going to be more differentiated to meet the site's needs. So, to the different levels of fidelity, if this site needs help in their interventions, we're going to, work with that site to make sure that we're supporting them in that way. And that's with our core consultants. Their model will be slightly different, but then also with our curriculum specialists. Again, I think with that data analysis, our team is not just with the site admin, not with just the instructional support, but our team will be making sure that we're responding to that data. So being very intentional about, again, what the common expectation is and what site needs what support, making sure we target that.
Any other questions from trustees? Trustee Colon?
Just wanted to make sure that every site is participating in SIPs, and I don't know why I wrote down a note for myself about if they're not participating, but they should be. Every site should be participating.
Yes.
K through 3.
Yes, there may come a time where maybe a site needs to change their schedule. Our core consultants have been very flexible in that, so we've been able to accommodate them and reschedule if needed. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yes, if I can.
Oh, sorry.
She's referring to instruction. So yes, so as of November, it became non-voluntary, and so now all sites and teachers are implementing SIPs. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And if I can add on too, so all of our teachers are provided the initial training in SIPs and follow-up visits. So there shouldn't be anyone out there that doesn't have that opportunity. So if you hear that they haven't, so it's not just after school, it's actually during the school day. We have multiple sessions of trainings that have been happening and will continue, and we will embed it into our new teacher program as well. When we hire on, everyone's going to go through the training.
Outside of the classroom, what are other literacy supports that's being offered for our kiddos?
Well, we have Hegarty and we have Benchmark, which is the other portion of the core curriculum. So when I go back to this slide with the reading rope, that top portion of the rope, which talks about, which is language comprehension, that is taught through our Benchmark core adopted curriculum.
But is there anything outside of school? So do we have any literacy camps? Do we have any nonprofits that are providing any type of support to kids who are struggling outside of what we do at the district?
I would like to say yes. I don't have those details, so I'd like to look into it further. I know that ELOP does things. You can go ahead and answer.
I can speak to it. So one, we do have iReady, which is computer adaptive. Some of the sites are transitioning to Lexia, which is another computer adaptive piece. Most teachers do assign iReady in some form. Sometimes it's done within the classroom, and then children do it at home as well as part of their minutes. So children have specific minutes according to their needs of how many minutes they should be doing that. In addition, I just want to do a shout out to the ELOP program, who really has a significant section of their time when children are in the after school program that's done by our teachers that they do have to support the literacy efforts. Definitely, as when we're thinking of summer and time off, every time now, for the last 2 years, our children have a significant section that is based in SIPs, and it's based in also extension using those skills that students need to. And so something just kind of to the point of Trustee Priest too is, with SIPs, it is mastery-based. So children are tested, and that's why the testing is so important, to find out what is their particular entry point that then ensures that they're learning what they need at the moment. So it no longer is, I'm a second grader, and so because of that, this is what I read. If I'm a high achiever, I'm actually in a group that really challenges me and makes me perform. If I need additional support, then that's the support that I receive. And we have seen, I'm in schools every day, and we were able to see it even today. Most of the students are extremely engaged because it's at their point of need. So it no longer is just the teacher is teaching me what I need to. And then we are encouraging small group for the SIPs in most of the grades because we want to be able to do those corrective routines. So we want children to be able to, when they make a mistake, us not just blare by it and not respond, but actually use the corrective routine so that when they're practicing it, they're making the right concepts permanent.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And then how are students who are using SIP ranking when it comes to state testing?
So I think it's important to kind of, maybe go to our timeline, but the gradual, like, small-scale pilot, right, with the ELSB and gradually implementing it increasingly. So as far as it impacting our SBAC scores, that's not an immediate thing that happens. It's something that will gradually, so we will see it impacted in our mastery assessments with SIPs. So within the program, we'll see it in our iReady data, and then eventually it will be coming, it will be reflected in our SBAC. If you have students that can read and are proficient readers, they're going to score higher on the SBAC. That won't be immediate. Some of it will be immediate. So, but then it will be gradually showing in our SBAC data, if that makes sense, because it's increasing in its implementation.
All right. Any other questions for Ms. Sigers? Trustee?
So just want to, if you can speak a little bit to the SIPS showcase tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then also, if this is, would be helpful, I just want to put a plug if any of people who want to go in and read into the classroom. I know that's not really a part of SIPS, but that's just another way we can all support our students. If you haven't become a volunteer and go into a kindergarten class and read. It's so much fun.
Yeah, the joy of reading just holistically is crucial. It's not just the foundational skills, but it's definitely an important part because that is the foundation of reading. So tomorrow evening, 4 to 6, we'll be having the SIPS showcase in this boardroom, where we will have the actual curriculum or program modeled here with the different levels, and you'll actually see the students engaging in a model lesson, so you can actually see it happening. We'll also go over data and just a program overall, and there we'll be able to answer questions. You'll be able to give feedback, whoever comes. So we encourage anyone, community, board, staff to attend that tomorrow evening.
Any other questions for Ms. Sigers? All right, seeing none, thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Item 7.2, Stockton Unified School District General Obligation Bonds, 2022 elections, 2025 Series A, first draft legal document. I would like to call up Sam Santa.
Sam's out, he's ill, so this is Nicole from, oh my God, I'm having a...
It's okay. Good evening.
Sorry.
Dale Scott and Company. All good. Good evening, President Stevens, members of the board, Dr. Rodriguez. This is an information-only item. We will bring this resolution back to you on April 22nd. I'm here to answer any questions before you have the resolution for sale for the brand-new 2022 authorization that 70% of your voter base approved in 2022. We're looking to issue that first series of bonds for your facilities improvements.
So we have some new board members here, so do you just want to talk about, I don't know if maybe Joanne, you want to talk about the facilities master plan and what does that look like, and just doing work on our facilities?
We completed our facility master plan in June, and that plan was a look at all our facilities in Stockton Unified. Our focus was safety and also any requirements for science. So the report was done in 3 sections. It was for high priority, medium priority, and low priority. And so what me and Vicki did was we looked at the report and we put the red ones, the higher priority, to see those ones we're going to focus on first. And so while we were determining which ones we needed to focus on, we came up with an amount to draw down our bond. And we came up with $140 million for this first drawdown to be able to complete some of those projects. And I can have Vicki come up and she could talk about which projects that she's going to start focusing on.
That'd be helpful, yeah, thank you.
And Nicole, after that, if you could just provide an overview of the process with the purchasing of the, or the selling of the bonds, I think that would be helpful for them to understand.
Happy to.
Hello again. Good evening. As Joanne said, we've been scouring the facility master plan to pull out exactly which items are, most important to the district. And one of those items that will be very costly is the science classrooms for the graduation requirements by 2028, I believe it is. So, in order to meet that goal, we have to start planning now. I know it seems early, but we are planning now, so we are looking at hiring architects. And then also within that plan, which I jotted down, which I have, there's modernizations at Fillmore, which is going to DSA. We have getting a check now to set out an appointment. The Franklin Gym and science classrooms there as well, and some roofing, and some restroom upgrades, which we feel are very important for the students. And then also, as part of those upgrades, Monroe, Hazelton, Montezuma, and Taft. And so we're going to start planning those and assigning architects to those projects. We also want to get some quick start projects going, like roofing, which we feel we can get done in within a year if we can get those projects on the docket. So if you add those projects up, we are spending a lot of money right up front. Does that help?
It does. Thank you, Vicki. All right, Nicole?
So the process for the bond issuance, when we come back to you on April 22nd, we'll be asking for approval for the bond sale resolution, which would be $140 million, as Vicki mentioned. And then once we have that approval, we will start working with our underwriters and firming up the draft preliminary official statement that you guys have in your packet. That document will go to investors, will explain everything about the district, will explain the district's finances, everything they want to know about investing in Stockton Unified School District. As we get closer to the pricing date, our underwriters will have these conversations with investors, and in the past, the Stockton USD bonds sell very well. They attract a lot of investors. And so we spend a lot of time out there talking to investors and making sure that there's a good crowd when we get into the market. With this volatility that's going on right now, that's really important. So our underwriters are always looking to bring in new people and make sure that the district's bonds sell well. We'll get to the pricing date in the morning. We'll go out and sell bonds. All the while, the district staff is on the call with us and seeing how the bond sale is going. We'll go over rates and comparables from the market that day, and they'll give their okay, and then bonds will be sold. And then about 3 weeks later, it takes about 3 weeks for bond counsel to work their paper magic. Bonds, the funds will be deposited into the district's accounts for facilities. So it's a fairly painless process. A lot of paperwork, a lot of the reading, but for the most part, let's see, if we come back in April 22nd, we're looking to have bonds funded to the district by mid-May. So, yeah, about a 2-month process. Any questions on that?
Any questions for Nicole? All right, Trustee Flores?
Have you guys communicated this process with the Bond Oversight Committee, and has that issue been cleared up?
So the Bond Oversight Committee is aware of the upcoming issuance because of the facilities master plan. And so, the Oversight Committee will review the spending of the bonds after these bonds are issued and spent. They really don't have much to review before bonds are issued, but their job is to review what's been spent along with the projects that they're going towards. So they will get all the documentation after the sale, but they are aware of the process and that bonds are being issued.
So they have been involved. I just want to make the records reflect that you are confirming that they have been involved and that they have been made aware of the process because they were here not too long ago and they were not being treated very well. And they were not being included in the decision-making and the process. They were not being supported at all. And so I just want to make sure, I get the process. If we're going to make money, that's fine. But there's still a due process. And these are people who we selected. We took the time to bring them on. We vetted them. So I just think that with all due respect, we should include them.
I would defer to the district onto whether or not they're included in the, go ahead.
Do you want to speak upon where we are with the bonds committee, advisory committee?
We had a meeting with them last month. They are meeting tomorrow to go over the report that they'll be presenting to you. In the last meeting, we did have Sam from DWK, and he did a presentation. There was a lot of questions answered. We did tell them that we were bringing this to the board for the new facility master plan, so they are aware that we are drawing down $140 million.
Thank you. Trustee Flores, any other questions?
Yeah,
So-
go ahead, I'm sorry.
So they will be able to present during the 22nd meeting as well?
They are hoping, they're reviewing the plan tomorrow, the report with the committee, and we're hoping to have them on the 22nd.
Okay.
Trustee Colon?
So I just want to make sure and be clear that the information you're presenting to us is to issue bonds, which is kind of like at the start of saying we are bringing in funds because we know we want to spend them. But the issue of the committee, they are oversight for the work that is completed. So that's the after. So everything that you're presenting to us today, the committee isn't responsible to report on this issuing, but they are responsible to report on what has been completed.
Absolutely correct.
Any other questions for Nicole? All right, seeing none, thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 8.1, public hearing for successor contract negotiations for the 25-28 fiscal years between the California School Employees Association and the Stockton Chapter 318 and the Stockton Unified School District, and presentation of CSEA 318 Sunshine Proposal. I would like to open the public hearing. Do we have any staff reports? No. All right. Do we have any public testimony? All right, hearing none. Do we have any trustee comments? Hearing none, I would now like to close the public hearing and move on to item 10.1, board committee reports. And Abby will read the oral announcement, and Christina will be the timekeeper of 3 minutes.
This is the opportunity to hear any reports from board committees, specifically regarding prior or upcoming committee meetings. There will be a 3-minute limit per report. First committee is the City of Stockton Parks and Rec by Clerk Donald Donaire.
Hello, everyone. So this was, the last meeting happened on the last March, Monday. The Recreation Department shared some events that are happening soon. Stockton Arts Nights are hosting quarterly art exhibits by the Stockton Arts Commission. Arts Nights will be held at Stockton Memorial Civic Auditorium. The next date is on June 11th. Applicants will be invited to participate on a competitive basis and selected by the Arts Commission, who is currently accepting applications for the June 11 event. And then there is also news about a lifeguarding certification class. The aquatics section for the Recreation Department is hosting 3 more free lifeguarding certification courses in April and May. This is open to individuals who are aged 15 and up. These are blended certification programs consisting of both online and in-person classes. Through classroom learning and hands-on practice, participants will learn to recognize and prevent injuries, perform water and land rescue skills, provide first aid, and administer professional rescue or CPR. Those dates for the classes are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The first one being April 25th to the 27th, May 2nd to the 4th, and May 9th to the 11th. And this is located at Oak Park Pool. The Parks and Recs had shared information about these classes through to all school districts through their Peach Jar communications tool. Next, they spoke about a beautification event. This is something hosted by the Public Works Department for the City of Stockton as part of the Clean City Initiative. They're seeking volunteers, individuals and groups of all ages to pick up litter and complete organized civic projects. Community members will be helping beautify Dantoni Park up in Northside Stockton by maintaining newly planted trees, painting around the park, and picking up litter. And the last thing I wanted to share was just wanting to thank Dr. Rodriguez for a meeting with San Joaquin County Supervisor Gardea, who was asking about swimming pools, if they're going to be opened up on school sites for the summer, for community in general. So thank you again for scheduling to meet with him about that. The next Parks and Recreation Commission meeting will be Monday, April 28, and this concludes my report.
Thank you. Next committee is the Interagency Committee, formerly known as 3x3 Committee, by Vice President Sofia Colon.
Good evening, everyone. So our Interagency Committee met also on the 31st. So we talked about our past topics, mental health supports for our students. We provided an overview that we have given in the past, including handouts explaining mental health and behavior services, school counseling, our PBIS, and our Care Solace services. We reviewed the discussions we had around traffic and safety, and getting the progress report on our safe routes to school projects, and the ongoing discussion we had regarding traffic concerns at various sites. And we also talked about homelessness and safety, discussing how having the discussions, I'm sorry, let me stick to the script. Discussion of student safety around school sites. We also provided them the list of questions that our principals had provided to us. And it was a really great conversation. I think we were really encouraged by learning about the activities and the initiatives that City Council is currently working on, and learning that Councilmember Padilla is the chair of the Homelessness Task Force. And so we were able to share about our Families in Transition Department and their role in supporting our students and families. And so we're looking forward to coordinating and collaboration our services and theirs. So for future topics to talk about or to focus on for 2025, we discussed that we would like to inquire with the public what topics they would like to see the Interagency Committee work on together. So we here at SUSD will begin by looking at our data gathered from our various surveys that we've sent out so far this year as a kind of foundation or a springboard to then coordinate with our agencies to send out a survey community-wide. So we all thought that was a great way to kind of look at the information we're gathering from our folks, what are they concerned about, and then have a good foundation to send a survey out to refine that focus a little bit more. So, thank you.
All right, moving on to item 10.2, brief reports on trustee activities. Abby will read the oral announcement, and Christina will be the timekeeper of 3 minutes each.
This is the opportunity for each trustee to make a brief announcement or to give a brief report on their own recent activities at the district pursuant to the Brown Act Government Code Section 54954.2A3. There will be a 3-minute limit per report.
All right, we'll start off with Trustee Flores.
Okay, hope I can make it in 3 minutes. All right, so first I would like to remind everybody about our students' art exhibit that's going to be at the Mexican Heritage Center on April 11th at 5 o'clock. We do have students from all of the high schools, and they will take first, second, and third place certificates, and they also get a cash prize to go with that. The next thing is I was able to spend some time with the parents at the CABE conference, which is one of my favorite things to do. While we were there, we were able to talk about, I'm going to start a Cafecito y Libros group with the parents, and that's going to start in June. So once a month, we're going to read a book and have some café. And they have already chosen a book called Voyar sobre el Pantano, which means fly over the swamp. And it's about self-reflection and development and growth. And that was a choice by the parents. So I'm excited to get that started with them. They also they did their traje competition. So they got to wear their cultural dresses, which was really beautiful. Stockton Unified took second and third. The only reason why we didn't get first is because the lady had her little knitted head beads that she made by hand, and I say that's the only reason why she won. But they all did really great. I was able to, one of the parents pulled me to the side. She did the vendor tour, and she found a academic program that will support parents at home to help their kids in Spanish with their homework and their assignments. And I already talked to Dr. Rodriguez about it. So I'm going to send the information over to her. And the vendor did give me 3 free sessions for a school site. So if there's a school site who would like to pilot it, we could do a test on it. And the mariachi group did really great. The kids, they, again, like I said, they should have took first place. The audience really was, from the moment that they stepped on the stage, had the audience captivated. They were like really there. I believe they said that the issue might be the vocals, but I think if we throw a grito in there somewhere, we might be able to get them in there. Also, I was able to see Dr. G. I don't know, is he in the house? Dr. G, are you here? Dr. G did a workshop that I was able to sit in on, and he taught us the bachata, the dance. And I just really liked the way he used the analogy of dance and music into how we support our curriculum programs in our school. How different programs, we have like thousands of different types of programs, just like we have different types of cars. And they all work, but what works best for you? Was that it? Sorry. I did a lot more, but.
All right, Trustee Denier.
Hi, everyone. So I just wanted to share about my attendance at the National School Board Association conference this past weekend. It was from April 4th, Friday, to the 6th, Sunday. This was located in downtown Atlanta, Georgia. Some of the workshops that I've attended and really resonated with, here are some of the titles. When Students and Staff Speech Collide with Anti-Discrimination Law, just going over some of the previous and current litigations that are happening right now. A lot of these conversations are happening at the national level, so I really want to bring some of these conversations to the district, particularly through the Equity and Diversity Committee. Another workshop that I attended that I really liked was on best practices for effective collaboration between board members and district administration. Something that I've kind of noticed throughout all of the workshops that I've attended was that in a lot of ways we're doing a lot of the things already that these workshops are letting school board members know that they can do too. So that kind of gave me like a boost of confidence in our district that we are on the right track and that we are ahead of a lot of school boards nationally. So I just wanted to give our district some flowers in that sense. A keynote speaker that I really enjoyed is Dr. Pedro Antonio Noguera. He is a sociologist, education researcher, and a former public school teacher. He's one of the nation's leading scholars on issues related to race and equality in education. What I got from his talk was this really striking question. He asked, during this period of polarization and uncertainty, what should we expect from elected school board members? And so he's really trying to get us to think about how districts can get through this time of bitter national polarization and really try to talk candidly through the differences on some of the toughest issues in K-12 education today. And so His work is really trying to get school board members to think about what is the common ground for a lot of the work that we do on school boards. He's illustrating a model of responsible civil debate between school board members based on substantial principal differences. It's also a powerful meditation on where 21st century schooling is going. There's a lot of uncertainty right now. A lot of our families and students are feeling that. And so I feel like this lecture really spoke to what we have to do in order for our kids to get ready in terms of workforce and also just wanting to build the future that we want to live in. Sadly, we did have to leave for the airport before we got to watch the last general session, which features, I just wanted to share this, Golden Globe winning actor Kevin Bacon. If the theory is right with 6 degrees of separation, I guess that means we did watch him at the end. So thank you. That concludes my trustee report.
Thank you, Trustee Zanair. Moving on to Trustee Perez.
All right, let's see. So on April 2nd and 3rd, I attended the Masters in Governance training. Topics covered were human resources and collective bargaining. On Saturday, April 5th, I attended the Family Migrant Conference with Dr. Rodriguez at Franklin High School. And then later that evening, I attended the Friends of Walton Booster Club crab feed with Casey. That was really cool. And then, let me see, this weekend, I have 2 things lined up, so I'll be looking forward to attend the NAACP prayer breakfast, Saturday, April 12th, and then also the NVLF newly elected training on the same day. And that's what I have. Thanks.
All right, Trustee Silva.
Yes, earlier today, this morning, I had the opportunity to visit 2 school sites, and that would be King School and Fillmore. And we got to sit in on some of the classes, walk around and see what kind of good work they're doing, and both schools are doing great work, I think. And that's it.
All right, thank you so much, Trustee Silva. Moving on to, I'll go next, but I just wanted to just lift up the fact that people don't know that Trustee Flores was actually the reason why our kiddos got to perform down at Cabe. So she came back, she's performing, and we know that Stockton has one of the best mariachis around. So I do want to celebrate the fact that you are constantly looking after our kids to make sure that they do have opportunities to excel. Because if we're talking about joyful opportunities for our kids, we have to make sure that they really have the opportunity to shine in areas that they find to be important for them. So just wanted to lift up that work for you because you didn't get the opportunity to say it. Secondly, I did get the opportunity to go down to Atlanta, Georgia with my colleagues, Trustee Zanair and Trustee Colon. The workshops are really great. I do also align with Trustee Zanair on the fact that our district is moving in the right direction. Hearing from some of the other school board members about where they are, we are on track to make some things happen here. In Stockton, I was really impressed around AI, making sure that our kiddos are using AI for their advantage. AI is not going anywhere. I think we have to get on board and make sure that we make the most out of it. And also when we talk about our cell phones, how do we have a policy that support our kiddos that does not create barriers? So we did see a lot of schools talking about how they're banning cell phones and things of that nature, but I think Stockton Unified will be next to align a policy around what supports our kiddos. There was also a lot of opportunity around equity work when it comes to banned books, but we want to make sure that Stockton Unified, that we're a place where our kiddos have access to literacy and making sure that access look like what our kiddos want to read, right? So making sure that we're not banning books so that our kids have access across the board to books that are culturally responsive and relevant to who they are and the people that they want to be. So looking forward to the next conference and then supporting our bands down in New York coming up soon, and then lobbying for our school district specifically around SPED funding at the Capitol. So looking forward to great things happening here at Stockton Unified, and then I will let Trustee Priest kick it off.
All right, I had the pleasure of attending our CASA conference alongside our Superintendent Rodriguez, where we explored powerful and inspiring sessions. Those topics included strengthening our PBIS implementation, expanding project-based learning opportunities, and learning from the founder of the Black Teacher Project, Dr. Mosley, on strategies to retain Black educators. We also engaged in sessions focused on promoting Black student achievement, preparing our future educators, fostering leadership within the Black community, as well as fostering leadership opportunities for our phenomenal Black and African American staff members that we currently have. Additionally, I was able to meet with our interagency committee to explore ideas and innovative opportunities that can benefit both SUSD and the greater Stockton community. I remain excited and hopeful about the new possibilities ahead and will continue my work with the Masters in Governance training and in collaboration with school board partners to uplift and advance our outcomes for all students. And as always, I am grateful for the experience and opportunity to serve our schools. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Trustee Priest. Last but not least, Trustee Colon.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Fremont's Art Experience, Franklin's Brown Issues Club, Plus Summit After Party. It was exciting to see our schools are doing meaningful work to engage students, and it's really just inspiring to see the results, whether it's through student-led projects, seeing them advocate in our city. Our students are showing us what's possible when we nurture their voices and their creativity. I got to read to TK and kinder classes at August, and also got to walk through a few of their special education classes. I also visited special education classes at Harrison when I visited their school. And I got to spend some time at Chavez High School with Ms. Cortinez's special day class, along with paraprofessionals, Ms. June and Mr. Will. And we got to work on making a solar system model. I mean, like, we really did work with clay and everything. It was so much fun. It was a lesson from the Teach Town curriculum. And it just showed how engaging the teacher and the students were in this project. Quick plug, Special Olympics track and field at Chavez tomorrow from 10 to 1. Please, if you can make some time to be out there, do. Our families would really appreciate the support of the community cheering on our students. So this week, I've just really experienced a lot of joy watching firsthand the incredible work that our teachers and our staff are doing to support our students. And it's just a powerful reminder of what's possible when we prioritize inclusive and meaningful education for all. And so I am wearing my tie-dye shirt to support Autism Acceptance Month, and just in general, just to show support for an inclusive environment for all of our students. I think it's one of the areas of education that I wasn't familiar with before, but being a trustee has really opened my eyes, and listening to parents, seeing our students, it's really encouraging to know how dedicated our staff is and to see the joy and the success in our students. So it's really been a highlight so far. Despite any proposed changes at the federal level, I'm proud that our district will remain committed to ensuring students in our special education receive the services that they need. So as mentioned, later this week, we'll be meeting with Assemblywoman Rhodesia Ransom, and later this month, Congressman Josh Harder. So on both fronts, at the Capitol in the state and the capital of our nation, to advocate strongly among the issues, special education funding and support to remain and grow. Our students deserve nothing less than our full support, and I'm proud to be, along with my board colleagues here, to continue to be a voice for them every step of the way. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Trustee Colon. All right, moving on to item 10.3, adoption of resolution number 24-74, resolution on trustee compensation for a missed board meeting. Is there a motion?
I make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
President Stevens?
Yes.
Vice President Colon?
Yes.
Clerk Denier?
Yes.
Trustee Flores?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
Trustee Priest?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 11.1, Superintendent's Report, Plus Summit.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we've had a significant focus for many years on ensuring that our students' voices are heard and they matter. So there are multiple opportunities for our students to be a leader amongst their peers. So we have Skills USA, which is the CTE version pathway of it that has significantly increased ASB, so the Associated Student Body clubs such as our BSUs, my superintendent student advisory, and then our plus students. And so we had thousands of plus students. This is, I believe it was 10th or 11th annual, so it has been going on for a very long time. But we had thousands of students there. The team, Marianne Centella's team, does a fantastic job. Jillian Glindy was down there helping to orchestrate it all. Students had the wonderful opportunity to do so much together, and so we have this video for you to see them in action and just see the amazing, fantastic students that we have that represent us and our community. So here you go.
More than 1,300 excited SUSD students packed the Spanos Center at the University of Pacific for the 8th Annual Plus Summit.
I'm so proud of each and every one of you because you are powerful. You have impact. You not only are having impact on those that are in this room, but with every single child that is at your school.
Plus, which stands for Peer Leaders Uniting Students, gives students the tools to become the next generation of leaders on school campuses and beyond.
I would explain Plus as a community of students that are willing to make our schools, our environment, a better place for everyone.
We are hearing from wellness speakers. We are presenting our state seal civic engagement projects from our high schools through a pop-up museum.
The pop-up museums featured an array of different subjects, from the impact of wildfires on the environment to drug prevention.
Really showing what Plus is, a community where you can come together, enjoy each other, make bonds and memories together, and just be a better person altogether.
Plus One connections together as well.
I like to to make new friends and communicate with other schools.
Plus gives an impact of peer leaders uniting students. In Stockton, Melinda Meza for the Stockton Unified School District.
And shout out to Jillian and team for making that happen as well. All right, moving on to item 11.2, adoption of resolution number 24-78, proclaiming April 2nd as National Acceptance Day and April 2025 as Autism Acceptance Month. Before we call for the motion, there's a video.
Hello, and welcome to Autism Acceptance Month in Stockton Unified School District. Please join us as we celebrate. First, we would like to kick off Autism Acceptance Month by acknowledging and celebrating Autism Acceptance Day, which was April 2nd. Our district is wearing tie-dye every Friday in the month of April to demonstrate that diversity is our strength. Our Preschool Assessment and Autism Center hosted a parent coffee to celebrate parents of students with autism. On April 17th, the Preschool Assessment and Autism Center will be celebrating as they host an Easter egg hunt. As previously mentioned, the district is wearing tie-dye to celebrate neurodiversity. We will also be sharing information out on social media every Friday in April to increase awareness and promote acceptance. We have created a Padlet, which if you scan the QR code, it will take you directly to the Padlet. This is where we share out information as well as our success stories. Check it out. We also have an interactive learning library, which has several different resources to learn about autism and neurodiversity and create awareness and acceptance. You may also scan the QR code to learn more. Now, I am very excited to highlight some of the major talent of students in our Stockton Unified School District. Kennedy Elementary is home to 3 of our district's autism classes. Here we have one of our stellar learners, Peyton Pierce, participating in the school's spelling bee. Kennedy Elementary.
I close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting for me that I call my own. Through the door, through it all has been before, but it feels like home.
Lastly, we hope that you can join us for some fun and exciting events coming up this month, including our Special Olympics at Chavez High School tomorrow, our CAC meeting coming up on April 10th, and our Circle of Friends High School dance at Stagg High School, also on April 10th. Thank you so much for celebrating with us. Happy Acceptance Month.
Okay, team, we need a motion for 11.2.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, discussion? Roll call vote?
President Stevens?
Yes.
Vice President Colon?
Yes.
Clerk Tener?
Yes.
Trustee Flores?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
Trustee Priest?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 11.3, approval to purchase a Visualine Alta Video Solution Phase 2.2 Cooperative Purchasing Agreement, GSA, Contract Number 47, QSWA 18D003K. Is there a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right, discussion? Roll call vote?
President Stevens?
Yes.
Vice President Colon?
Yes.
Clerk Tener?
Yes.
Trustee Flores?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
Trustee Priest?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Yeah, we did create a one-sheeter. Sorry, Dr. Franco, do you want to come on up and give us an overview?
I think that's probably the easiest one you had to do, huh?
So it's okay. It keeps my skills up. Well, thank you for giving me the time tonight to share a little bit of our safety vision that we had for the district. So one of the things as over the last 2 years, as we stepped into these roles with the leadership, we were trying to determine what the vision of safety was for our schools and to include what items we were going to prioritize to make our schools the safest that we could possible. And so we created this one-sheeter to really see the work that was done behind the scenes, and then also for our community to see exactly what these safety projects entail and how they work together to create that safety plan. And so with that, we start off kind of with this picture, and obviously this is a little outdated because this was, like I said, about a year or so ago. So the dates have obviously, a lot of these projects are at completion phase already. And so we start off first as you're approaching one of our schools. We have our perimeter fencing, right? That is going to be that deterrent, for those who don't have a purpose on our campus. We want to welcome those who have a purpose and a need to be there, but we also want to ensure that, the ones that have no purpose and potentially could want to cause some disturbance or harm to our staff and students, create that layer. And so we kind of looked at it as an onion, peeling out the layers, starting from the outside and then coming in. So each step is going to make it harder for someone to come into our campus and successfully become a threat to our kids and staff. And so once they make it on campus, well, you have the perimeter fencing, and then, so that's a deterrent. Then you hit our access control, which is our, at the front of all of our schools. Our schools are 100% complete. So that allows our sites to vet every visitor that's coming on, right? They press the doorbell. They're granted access via video technology with the front office staff that will inquire, what the purpose for them to be on campus is. And this allows our staff to do a quick screening too, right? To see who is this person? Is this someone who, we believe has weapons, right? Potentially unhoused or mentally unstable that we don't want to grant that access so easily. Once they go past that phase, then they are met with our Hall Pass Visitor Management System. And so before they are granted that next level of access, they're going to have to check in using their ID, which does a quick check on the National Registry of Sex Offenders to ensure, again, that there is no threat to our students and staff once they're on campus. Once they are, we vetted them through those three pieces. They come on campus, they will be monitored through our camera system. And so our first phase of the camera system is almost complete. We're anticipating 100% completion at the end of May. And so this is where the second phase starts in to bring in the remainder of the schools. This is connected to our dispatch center and has extreme AI technology that will allow us to do a lot of things if we do identify a threat. With that, obviously, we put in a lot of the parameters to ensure also that we are respecting privacy. But in the event of a lockdown, we have the capability to bring up a map that shows us exactly the movement on campus. So it'll allow us to see if we have someone who's just wandering the campus that could be our potential intruder, or identifying if it's a staff or a student that might need additional help in getting those resources there. It also has the capabilities once we activate that level of it to identify weapons on campus. So we won't necessarily have to rely on one of our witnesses to be able to see that someone carries a weapon. The system will automatically detect it and let dispatch know and generate that response for us to get there sooner to prevent any kind of harm from occurring on our campuses. Once they're on there, if in the event an emergency were to happen, we do have our Catapult K-12 emergency communication system that allows us the ability to automatically notify our campuses if there's an emergency, whether we need to go on a soft lockdown, evacuate, whatever it is, and it allows a two-way communication from our dispatch center or including within the school site. The other thing that we have is our in-maps emergency routing, and so those are updated maps. Those are currently being worked on, so we identify that they're accurate to our sites. But once we have those out, you will have a map that tells you this is where you are, this is your fastest evacuation route. And so that way, it's clear for anybody who comes on our campuses, including people who might not be as familiar, to know what the best pathway will be to, avoid a threat. And then, lastly, another tool that we added was our Say Something Anonymous reporting system. And so this allows our staff and our students to anonymously report anything that is occurring on campus, again, to have that preventative measure in place. And so this is our vision as a whole, not to say that this is where we stop, right? This is our vision that we wanted to get going in the moment to make our schools safe and let our staff know that and our students that they are priority and that we were paying attention to the needs. A lot of these items came at request of our students at the Superintendent's Youth Advisory Board, as well as some of our town halls. And so that's where the focus, went. And so this is the overall picture, again, with us yearly as, funds are available and opportunity to continue to build, again, to make sure that our campuses remain safe and, supporting our students to get that education.
Thank you so much, Chief. Any questions for Chief?
I think, can you mention also that I got to see the presentation, so I'm really excited. My favorite part about this is that the profiling, they're not profiling by, no offense, law enforcement profiling of minorities, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It is, it's gonna profile by color of shirt, the type of shoes, like attire or like the color that a person, he or she was wearing. And I think that was my favorite part of the program because, we could profile, say, the camera zoomed in on somebody, it's not zooming in on a ethnicity, it's zooming in on colors of description of what somebody wore. Am I doing that fair?
That is correct. Yes, you did. So practically, it is a huge additional tool for us as we respond. So when we get the calls into dispatch, a lot of it is getting the information and then being able to know where that person is on campus. And so as they call our dispatch center and we gather those informations, what were they wearing? If they tell us, it was a red shirt, black pants, we can literally put it into the system and it'll recognize anyone who's wearing a red shirt and black pants. So it allows us to minimize or to pinpoint way easier who our threat is on campus and exactly where to send our resources versus, previously we would get that information. You had to have your SRO get on campus, through the radio, hey, where's that person, right? This allows them to have that capability and getting that information in real time from our dispatch center. So that is a great addition to this system, yeah.
I love that part.
Any other questions? No. So I want to ask about hall pass. So how soon does it, so I give you my ID and there's something there, registered offender. How soon does it come back? Is it instantaneously?
It is instantaneously, yeah.
Okay. And then who has that conversation at the school site? So your ID pings, right? So somebody has to have this conversation about you can't be on campus. Who's having that conversation?
So it's collaborative. So when you get the ping, they call our department because we want to ensure that we verify it. So a lot of times, right, it's going to go by the nearest match. So it might not be the actual person, or it might be outdated information that perhaps the system, on the back end with law enforcement wasn't cleared when it needed to be cleared because the laws have changed with sex offenders. So we respond and then we run a CLETS check. So we'll verify the ID, verify the hit, and then we ensure that it's still an active, registry in the system before that conversation is had. At that point, they have broken the law already, but we have left the discretion between our staff and obviously the officer responding based on the circumstances to make the decision of whether they just do a report because we always want to document, right? People lie to us, unfortunately. And so we always want to document what we were told and forward it to the DA or effect an arrest if we determined through our questioning and everything that there was more ill intent than maybe perhaps some miscommunication from, a principal calling a parent who failed to disclose, hey, that I have this, but they had a legit need to be on campus for their student. But, there's still those laws to follow.
Got it. Thank you. Any other questions for Chief Franco?
Is there, you just brought up something, a thought. Say there is a parent who does have something in their background, but it's not like super violent. Is there going to be like a gray line where like the principal has a relationship with the parent? Maybe we have a reformed, person that comes out of serving time and now they're reformed and second chances and that. Is that, I don't know if that maybe that's a superintendent or I don't know who addressed that call, but say it pings, like, is there going to be, I don't want it to turn into also something negative on our end of how deep or detailed it is to not let a parent be involved.
For sure. So for this, it's just for, a sex registrant offender. If it was anything criminal, it wouldn't generate within that system. Obviously, agreed 100%. Several people have backgrounds. That doesn't necessarily dictate that they're here to make harm at our schools. And they do have that, reason to be there to support their child as well. And that is even for sex offenders as well. So however, the law is that before they step on a school ground, they actually have to have permission from the school. So in the sense of how I mentioned the incident where a principal might call a parent, the parent should disclose that they are a registered sex offender so that a protocol, comes into place. So currently our superintendent is the only one that can grant access because if we do grant access, it also, requires some notification that needs to be made. And so we want to be able to support the child and the parent as well. So now what we recommend is if that's the case, obviously leaving it up to the school, they have the ability, once Dr. Rodriguez approves, if they have the ability to secure the remainder of the children, because you don't want to grant access to, the whole campus, or if they can be done in a different manner versus perhaps via Zoom or via telephone, where you're accomplishing the same and still having that relationship, but protecting the rest of the students.
Perfect.
All right, no other questions? Thank you so much, Chief Franco.
Definitely.
All right, item 13.1, approval of the internship memorandum of understanding between the Stockton Unified School District and the Teachers College of San Joaquin Impact Intern Credential Program. Is there a motion?
I make the motion to.
Oh, did we vote on 11.3? No, okay, sorry. Yeah, we did, yeah, the video came after, yeah. Yeah, video came after. Okay. Motion for 11 point, I'm sorry, 13
I'll
point.
motion to approve.
I gotta call it correctly first, hold on. Motion for 13.1.
I motion to approve the approval of the internship memorandum of understanding between Stockton Unified and the Teachers College of San Joaquin Impact Intern Credential Program.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, discussion? Roll call vote?
President Stevens?
Yes.
Vice President Colon?
Yes.
Clerk Denier?
Yes.
Trustee Flores?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
Trustee Priest?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 13.2, approval of the Preliminary Administrative Services Credential Program Memorandum of Understanding between the Stockton Unified School District and the Teachers College of San Joaquin. Is there a motion?
I motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right. Any discussion? Roll call vote?
President Stevens?
Yes.
Vice President Colon?
Yes.
Clerk Denier?
Yes.
Trustee Flores?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
Trustee Priest?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 13.3, approval of the Preliminary Administrative Services Intern Credential Program Memorandum of Understanding between the Stockton Unified School District and the Teachers College of San Joaquin. Is there a motion?
I motion to approve.
Second?
Donaire, second.
All right, any discussion? Roll call vote?
President Stevens?
Yes.
Vice President Colon?
Yes.
Clerk Denier?
Yes.
Trustee Flores?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
Trustee Priest?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 14.1, approve the contract for E-rate RFP 25.942 Hotspot Lending Services with Universal Network Services LLC. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve 14.1.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion? Roll call vote?
President Stevens?
Yes.
Vice President Colon?
Yes.
Clerk Denier?
Yes.
Trustee Flores?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
Trustee Priest?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 14.2, approval of architectural services for HMC, Architects to Design Expanded Learning Opportunities, Group D, number 25.678. Is there a motion?
I make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion? Roll call vote?
President Stevens?
Yes.
Vice President Colon?
Yes.
Clerk Denier?
Yes.
Trustee Flores?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
Trustee Priest?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 14.3, adoption of resolution number 24-73, awarding the leaseback contract to A.M. Stevens Construction Company, Inc. for the ELOP Group B, Project 8, SUSD Elementary Schools, RFQP 24.936. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion? Roll call vote?
President Stevens?
Yes.
Vice President Colon?
Yes.
Clerk Denier?
Yes.
Trustee Flores?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
Trustee Priest?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 14.4, approve and authorize the purchase of furniture from Lakeshore Learning Materials LLC to support the Primary Years Academy Portables Project number 25.978. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion? Roll call vote?
President Stevens?
Yes.
Vice President Colon?
Yes.
Clerk Denier?
Yes.
Trustee Flores?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
Trustee Priest?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 14.5, approval of an agreement for architectural and engineering services with Architecnica for the playground replacement project at Amwell Elementary School. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
A second.
All right, any discussion? Roll call vote?
President Stevens,
Yes.
Vice President Colon,
Yes.
Clerk Denier,
Yes.
Trustee Flores,
Yes.
Trustee Perez,
Yes.
Trustee Priest,
Yes.
Trustee Silva.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 14.6, amendment to increase the leaseback contract project budget to Clark Sullivan Construction for the shade cell structures, project number 22.002 for Group A schools. Is there a motion?
I make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion? Roll call vote?
President Stevens,
Yes.
Vice President Colon,
Yes.
Clerk Denier,
Yes.
Trustee Flores,
Yes.
Trustee Perez.
Turn your mic on, Trustee Perez, one more time.
Yes.
Trustee Priest,
Yes.
Trustee Silva.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 14.7, amendment to increase the leaseback contract project budget to Clark Sylvan Construction for the shade sail structures, project number 22.003 for Group B schools. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, discussion? Roll call vote?
President Stevens,
Yes.
Vice President Colon,
Yes.
Clerk Denier,
Yes.
Trustee Flores,
Yes.
Trustee Perez,
Yes.
Trustee Priest,
Yes.
Trustee Silva.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 14.8, amendment to increase the leaseback contract project budget to AM Stevens for the shade sail structures, project number 22.004 for Group C schools. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Trustee Flores. Any discussion? Roll call vote?
President Stevens,
Yes.
Vice President Colon,
Yes.
Clerk Denier,
Yes.
Trustee Flores,
Yes.
Trustee Perez,
Yes.
Trustee Priest,
Yes.
Trustee Silva.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 14.9, amendment to increase the leaseback contract project budget to AM Stevens for the shade sail structures, project number 22.005 for Group D schools. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, discussion? Roll call vote?
President Stevens,
Yes.
Vice President Colon,
Yes.
Clerk Denier,
Yes.
Trustee Flores,
Yes.
Trustee Perez,
Yes.
Trustee Priest,
Yes.
Trustee Silva.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 14.10, approval of an agreement for architectural and engineering services with Architecnica for the playground replacement project at McKinley Elementary School. Is there a motion?
Motion to. Go ahead.
Motion by Trustee Denier.
Yep.
Is there a second, trustees?
Second.
Second by Trustee Silva. Any discussion? Roll call vote?
President Stevens,
Yes.
Vice President Colon,
Yes.
Clerk Denier,
Yes.
Trustee Flores,
Yes.
Trustee Perez,
Yes.
Trustee Priest,
Yes.
Trustee Silva.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 17.1, I would like to adjourn the board meeting at 7:12.